Hello and welcome. It's Happy Hour at QI, because tonight we're all about H for happiness. Get them in quickly while you can, ladies and gentlemen, because you've got 4 guests for the price of 2. The happy-go-lucky Andy Hamilton. The irresistibly chirpy Rich Hall. Cheerful Charlie, Phil Jupiters. And someone who doesn't even know the meaning of the word lugubrious, Alan Davis. So, your instruments of pleasure, if you please. Andy goes... and Rich goes... Phil goes... and Alan goes... oh, dear. Right. Well, before we start, I want to test our own contribution to the sum of human happiness, the QI audience pleasure gauge. Every time the pointer enters the red happy zone as a result of something the audience likes, I will award one or more of you a bonus, all right? For example... that kind of a sound. Right. So, now to questions. What would make Britain a happier place?
No more penalty shootouts.
Hope.
The Pope?
Hope. Oh, not the Pope.
Not the Pope, no. I was going to say, that seemed odd.
I thought you said a grope.
A grope and
I'll
the
work
Pope.
on my diction. Hope.
I think moving Britain slightly south to improve the climate slightly would make us happier.
Could you do that by just putting an outboard motor on Aberdeen?
Yeah, probably more than one. I reckon you need quite a few outboard motors, but if you had enough, you'd definitely get it going.
Britain never wakes up in the same latitude.
Yeah, you never know where you are. You're just cruising the globe.
Like
Right, yeah.
like Somali pirates. But
Can we concentrate...
Yeah.
we went back to pillaging and looting and raping.
Right.
I'm not sure what pillaging is, but looting and raping...
Fine.
All right, looting, no rape.
Yeah.
Pillage.
A minor thing.
Minor pillaging.
Yeah.
What is pillaging?
It's kind of sacking, ransacking, stealing from, pilfering and taking things, burgling, taking, I think, pillaging.
So it's the same as looting.
Yeah.
Kind of is, isn't it?
Give everyone the mental age of 6. That would make Britain happier. You'd be very easily pleased.
Well, the media are working on that, aren't they?
I think you hit the happiness gauge there.
maybe.
That was very good. Well done.
The mass dumbing down.
Yeah.
But of course, 6-year-olds, I mean, probably cry 70 or 80 times a day, which you...
Because they
do
can't
you?
go up and down stairs without falling. Whereas I can.
Or...
70 or 80 times. Where is this lachrymose 6-year-old?
I'm just saying, you know...
What does Uncle Stephen do?
I try and teach them Latin. They just don't seem to be able to, like...
Not the British Museum again.
Oh, don't.
I don't like foie gras.
Oh, boo and boo.
This is Prosecco and this is real champagne.
I'm not telling you again. Otters.
Otters.
I'd vote yeah.
Otters lying on their backs,
I
playing
think-
with stones.
Sea otters are funny.
I
Makes me happy.
Yeah, if you see an otter, in a way, you just feel happy. I think if every home had an otter.
An otter in every house.
Certainly in every village
promise.
pond.
Well, I mean, if one's empirical about this and say, which do we think might be the happiest country on earth? Do you think there's ever been any agreement about which
The
society?
Ottoman Empire.
Hey! Hey! Up it goes. Up on the stage. Very good. That was quick. One of the things that appears to be a great index of happiness is not wealth itself, but a lack of huge disparity between rich and poor. That in countries where really there isn't much of a gap of that sort of nature, that's a famous sketch you may remember from TW3 with John Cleese and Ronnie Barker and Ronnie Corbett. But where there isn't that kind of differential, it seems people are happier. Even in the last 13 or 14 years, Britain, the gap has widened considerably, 10% since 97 when John Major's government ended. The gap between rich and poor has widened. Well, the point is, of course, it's very difficult. How do you measure happiness? Do you ask people if they're happy? And are they reliable guides of their own happiness?
The things they do to each other will tell you whether they're happy or not.
That's a very good
Happy
question.
people less inclined to glass people in pubs.
Yeah.
There's no unit of happiness, is there? That's the problem.
No, there's
no
no
international unit of happiness.
feliciton.
Yeah.
No, exactly. There are apparently ways of measuring happiness, but none of them is particularly reliable. An interesting thing is that if you take someone who's got enormous reason apparently to be very happy, say they've just won the pools or the lottery, this was a test that was done in 1978, and someone had had a catastrophic car crash that might have paralysed them. Obviously, at the time, one is extremely happy and the other is unbelievably unhappy, but within a very short time they both level out and return to more or less the same state they were in before.
So people have a bedrock
They kind
level
of do. Bhutan was the first country to have a gross measure of happiness, the GNH.
They had
gross national
no television
happiness.
there, do they?
They didn't for a very long time, or indeed traffic lights, yeah. The king declared happiness of the people the guiding goal of development, and he banned unhappy TV shows, amongst others.
Traffic lights never make you happy, do they?
No, they don't.
Oh,
and they tried it in Slough.
No traffic lights and no television.
They tried making it was called Making Slough Happy, including such things as doing good turns, laughing daily and watching less television, which resulted in a 33% upswing in their life satisfaction index.
I think one of the important things would be to get rid of the name Slough.
I fear you're right. It's not a very happy name, is it?
Yeah, change it to Yippee!
Do you know, the weird thing is that would probably work.
It would work.
We
Where
are
are you from?
human beings. We
Yippee!
would respond to that. Where do you live? Yippee! It would be fantastic. What a brilliant idea.
Yippee barks.
Yeah. Brilliant. Staines is quite close to
Staines.
It's not right.
You call Staines, woohoo!
Yeah. You got yippee and woohoo.
Hull. Bad.
Hull. Yeah. Hull.
Hot Diggity would be a good name.
Hot diggity for Hull. Brilliant. This is a superb movement. This really could make a difference. Because we're human beings. We respond emotionally to things. And it may seem like a trivial difference, but wouldn't that be great if you lived in Hot Diggity?
Hot Diggity. Right outside of Zippity Doodah.
I think I'd like
The only trouble is when there's an accident there and the newsreader has to say the bus turned over in Hot Diggity.
Oh, no. When I remember this quite vividly. When I was about 10, there was a massive mining disaster in India, and hundreds of people were killed. But it was at the Wanky Colliery, and I just remember me and my mates finding this hilarious 400 dead miners at the Wanky Colliery in 1972. It was just awful.
That's like a headline I saw in Ireland. It said, Corkman drowns.
Happiness! Woo!
You know what?
You guys are bending the needle.
His name was Bob. Come on!
Well.
Wow. Well, I think think I've won this one. I'm not going to answer another question.
The fact is, all the surveys indicate that economic equality is what promotes the greatest good for the greatest number. The other things that make us happy, of course, are friends. But how many real friends do you have?
Just one, James Taylor.
What a friend you have in him. Yeah.
I've
Moving
got
on.
to 4.
4 friends you've counted, have you?
Well, actually, I'm not sure about him. Because he once spiked my drinks and stole my trousers when I was...
No, you can definitely cross him out.
He's coming off the list, yeah.
Which did you do first?
Drinks first, Phil.
I don't know, maybe he's agile.
Good friend. They say that a friend will help you, a friend will come over to your house and help you move, and a good friend will help you move a body.
That's good. That's...
I have 2 good friends.
Oh, Rich! Oh, that's disturbing. There is this thing called a Dunbar number. Does that mean anything
Yeah, it's
to you?
about 100 and something.
You're right. There was a
120
professor
or
of
something.
evolutionary anthropology at Oxford University called Dunbar who calculated, if the calculation is the right word, that we can't have more than 150 friends. And obviously, some of us have a very high doctrine of friends.
150?
Yeah. He defines it this way.
I don't even know 150 people.
It's a network. It's a network.
I was going to say 5.
Right, well, I know what you mean. But he defines this friendly network as containing the people you wouldn't feel embarrassed to join at the bar in the transit lounge of Hong Kong Airport at 3 a.m.
Oh, no, thousands of them.
Yeah.
I
was going to
don't
say.
think I've ever been embarrassed to join anyone at a bar in my life.
It's a peculiar definition.
That is, yeah.
It's an odd one. But on the other hand,
There's
the
something
number...
about this particular transit lounge.
I don't know. But 150 does turn out to be quite a special number amongst peoples and groups. It's the average size of traditional hunter-gatherer communities, small religious groups such as the Amish, and the average English village size at the time of the Doomsday Book. It also occurs all over the modern world. It's the number of Christmas cards the average person sends, apparently. 130? 150. The size of a company in all modern armies is 150, as opposed to battalion or platoon. And it's also close to the average number of friends people have on Facebook, which is 130 odd. So it is strangely... It seems to be the number beyond which it's too many, and any less than that is a closer friend. But it's also, when we say friend, we mean someone, as you say,
We
someone
like.
who'll bury a body for you. Yeah. Someone who'll
does-
inspect a genital wart.
If they come round your house.
No?
I'm thinking of a
How do you
doctor.
mean inspect it? Is there some... Well, give it a certificate or something.
Just check that
Sounds
it's
like there's a
normal or not normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Magnifying glass involved.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what, that is a very complicated game of Subbuteo out there. Look at that.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. This is where it went wrong for Sven Goran Eriksson.
But, yeah.
150
150, it seems to be a magical number. Are you all on Facebook? No.
Yes.
I don't,
You're not-
I
you
don't
are?
really go on the computer.
I read a prediction the other day that said that at the current rate, in 10 years' time, 1 in 3 marriages in America will be people who met online. It's already 1 in 8. It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Is that bad?
Well, you just fill out a lot of forms, don't you? Here's everything I like.
Oh, no,
I need
they
someone
don't necessarily meet on dating sites. Well,
Oh.
some of them will be, I agree, but...
How else do you meet if you're not on a dating site, though?
Join a
You
group.
You join a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, join a
Chat.
Facebook group with like-minded people.
Oh, right.
They send you witty remarks.
And which are the
And
most popular...
eventually, you send them a photograph of your genitals.
Yes. You know... Whoa. Well, Alan, that's the most popular so far, the genitals.
Genitals.
Of the
So
genitals.
it's just like a normal courtship then, but
Yeah, pretty
done digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
I
never
feel,
in the
I, feel,
same
I
room.
feel quite bad, you know, for the Amish in this situation because, you know, they're not going to meet people on Facebook, are they? Unless we create an Amish Facebook where you just write everything you know about yourself on a sheet of paper and put it in a barrel in the middle of the village. You can just dip in and out of, you know.
It's true, because they don't have electricity.
Raised the barn today, lol. Drank some cider. Row.
And they have AMG. Ach, mein Gott. Yes, nobody can handle more than 150 real friends, according to Robin Dunbar, Professor of Evolutionary Anthropology at Oxford. This is the maximum number of intimate relationships the human brain can process. Now, how can you tell if a friend is really pleased to see you?
Well, they will be engorged.
Kind of.
They would if they're really pleased. They wouldn't.
You know 150 people who will become engorged at the sight of you.
Oh, I know thousands.
I know Alan well enough for a light twitch.
Right.
You're not in 150, but 151, Stephen.
Hey, there you go.
I would guess from the picture that your teeth expand.
So we're looking for sincerity. How do you
Eye
detect
contact,
sincerity?
yes. Body language.
But we all work in showbiz. That's not going to be easy.
Air kissing, no. Pupils
Smell.
dilating, something like that. Or they let off a pheromone. Something happens.
Well, its interpretation of the smile is what we really like.
So a few who go.
Yeah. And it's become a sort of, almost a cliche for us to say that they don't smile with their eyes. But this wasn't known about until the 19th century. There was a Frenchman who had nothing better to do than to electrocute people's faces in order to make their lips turn upwards without their eyes moving. There we are. That's what he liked to do. It's a job.
He's only 10 years old, that boy.
As you can't have real sideburns, have these electric ones.
His name was Guillaume Duchenne, and he defined a true smile as having to involve the face and the eyes. And what he discovered was that you can't control your eyes. You can't make your eyes smile. It's involuntary, whereas you can make your lips smile. Here's some rather good, horrifying attempts to try and make people smile.
These are all the QI researchers. Bending over backwards for the show.
It's
well
disturbing.
Couldn't he get a different volunteer? Poor Barry, day 60. Day 61.
The second one from the bottom is really... Because it looks like the bloke's coming in from the different
he's got
side.
yes.
He's been surprised as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there is actually, Andy, a third probe you can't see. Mr. Duchenne actually gave the numbers. 58 is, I forgot my mother's birthday. 61, left the gas on.
That's not left the gas on, that's just, I've just trodden on a cat and it's died.
The real smile is called the Duchenne smile. And with only the mouth smiling, it's known in the trade of happiness studies, gelotology, is known as...
A Gordon Brown.
No, a full smile is known in the trade as a Pan Am smile.
As a Des O'Connor.
Yeah, well, or a Pan Am smile, because that was the airline, since defunct, of course, where it was considered they had the stewardesses who had the most plasticky false smiles, where the eyes are not smiling.
The Gordon Brown smile was the frightening thing, well, the weird thing about it was you see the moment where he would decide to smile, wouldn't you? And that kills any smile. You actually see you hear a clunk and then there's a smile. You know it's not natural.
Yes, I agree. Meanwhile, the girl on the left, is she wearing anything under her coat?
That's what used to be called a maxi, I think, isn't it?
Do you think their faces hurt? I mean, if 300 people are getting off a plane and you have to force a smile at every one of them, by the end they must be in agony by the end.
No, absolutely. So, if somebody's really pleased to see you, you can see it in their eyes. It's hard to take the involuntary movements of muscles that cause wrinkling around the corners of the eyes, anything other than seriously, because you can't control them. So, what would you do to a waiter who drew a smiley face on your bill?
I'm not a fan of the smiley face. I don't mind them introducing themselves.
Right. That's
but
a good
the
point.
weird thing is a waiter goes, hi, I'm Stephen, I'll be your waiter. If you call them Stephen for the rest of the night, Stephen, and they come out, they get quite annoyed. By about halfway through the main course, Stephen, this meal is really good. You tell them lots of things and maintain contact and use their name all the time, then you get a sad face on you. It's like personalised number plates. If you ever see a car go by and it's got Reg in it and then you see him go, all right, Reg, they don't like it.
idiots then, aren't they? I have a friend who's a producer on Broadway, and when he's in Joe Allen's, which is an actor's restaurant, and he wants attention at the table, he goes, "Oh, actor," which is very mean.
Rude.
It's very rude, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't like that. The stewardesses don't like that on planes when you go nurse. I hate it.
Is it?
I should have even said stewardess. They're not even. What are they now?
Is that a cabin crew? Something?
Attendants.
Attendant.
Attendant. Cabin crew.
Cabin crew.
Yeah.
You work out of Stansted, don't you? I recognise that.
Oh, they're pushing the needle. We can't see the needle. It's going on.
You always know when
because
you
you've
go.
obviously commanded them to applaud in this way, this must be what it was like in Soviet Russia.
Definitely.
Every time they went to anything, yes, clap, laugh, I can see the guns.
You weren't allowed to be the first one to stop clapping, were you? That was one of the things that would get you sent to the gulag. So they would just clap for hours and hours and hours.
A nation of people with bloody stumps.
Does the smiley face mean the waiter's pleased with what you've done, the way you've conducted yourself?
No, it's
You're
a way
a
of
good
getting.
customer?
It's a way of getting a bigger tip, and weirdly, it works.
It works.
Yeah.
They should draw little otters. That would be better.
Yeah.
On their backs, Spanish stones.
Yeah. Does that really work? Are you saying that gets some bigger tip?
Yeah.
Is that
Drawing a
just
smiley face, introducing your name, telling a joke, apparently.
How about decent service?
Wow, I don't think they've ever thought of that.
Is
But that might work.
Is that a suitable tip? Because if it is, I'm going to change everything. That's fantastic.
That is quite a lot.
£1.30.
What? Which is the nation of biggest tippers?
America, is it?
America, yeah.
They're obliged to, aren't
What's
they?
considered the
20%.
20%?
Yeah.
But if it's bad service, you take the tip and you put it in a glass of water and you turn it upside down. And you leave it on the table.
But you still leave it. I mean, if you leave an American restaurant without tipping, the waiter will chase you.
Oh, sure.
They will run down the street after you and say, "Sir, you didn't tip." Yeah. They really will.
They do. They come and take your money and they say, "Will there be any change with that?"
Yeah.
Yes, I think
But then you
fine.
can't-
That's a $100 bill, and I've just had a cup of tea.
But what do we think in Britain is the right
10%?
10%. But the average that's left, apparently, in British restaurants is 8.5%. And so out of the Welsh and the English in Britain, who are the bigger tippers?
I'll go Welsh.
Yes, they are. The English are the worst tippers in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that in the slightest.
No, I'm not either.
Actually, the English resent tipping.
They do, don't they?
do.
You know what? I don't think it's even that they resent tipping. I think they can't even be bothered to do the maths.
No. That's what they resent. the fact they can't
10%
work it
of
out.
80p is what? 5p.
Here's the thing that counts against national happiness is the process of splitting the bill with a bastard at the end. Oh, no, I only had a beer and a salad. And the drunk at the other end has had 9 white Russians. Let's split it, yeah?
It's so
One
true.
day you'll be the one who's had the 9 white Russians. It all comes around.
Other countries where there's no tipping?
I bet there's no tipping in China.
Certainly don't in Singapore. Singapore is actively wrong to tip.
Is it an
And
insult?
Japan, it's not. Well, it's Lee Kuan Yew. There used to be signs in the little rickshaws and things saying no tipping in Singapore.
Sounds like something drunk students do, rickshaw tipping.
Hey!
Hey!
Right.
That came out loud, Stephen.
I'm sorry.
We were all thinking it, but
I'm
you
sorry.
said it.
If a waiter draws a smiley face on your bill, you might well leave a bigger tip. From eating out to freaking out. Why was everybody in the world expected to die laughing in 1910? There's
Was
1910,
Michael
in case you didn't know what it
McIntyre
looked
going
like.
on tour?
That is Arthur Smith on the far right.
Do we know anything about 1910?
1910.
1910.
What
Everyone
happened?
was expected to die.
Well,
So they discovered laughing gas.
there was a hysteria about an upcoming event.
I'll
And
bet it was a big volcano like Krakatoa or something.
it was certainly a phenomenon, but
But it was going to
wasn't-
create a lot of pressure, and when it went, it was going to sound like a big fart. A giant whoopee cushion kind of caldera.
And that would make everybody laugh,
Yeah.
hysterically.
And they'd be frozen in lava, laughing.
It's possible. An even more cosmically grand event.
A natural event.
A comet.
A comet.
Comet.
The famous comet. The
Halley's
one
Comet.
Halley's or Halley's Comet, yes, exactly. Was there? Well, there it is. Because this is the first time it had come round since the science of astronomy had really sort of got itself together, there was kind of a little knowledge being a dangerous thing. There was a chemical views, and there was a theory that the nitrogen in the atmosphere, as the tail passed so close to the Earth, would turn the atmosphere of the Earth into nitrous oxide, which is
laughing gas.
Laughing gas. And that the whole population would start giggling and then die. We'd all laugh ourselves to death.
Oh, that would have been good.
It would have been. It said,
So much for laughter making you live longer.
well, some people put rags in their doors and windows to try and block the air from getting in. People were very, very convinced something dreadful was going to happen.
That's a great story. Can you imagine what the Daily Mail would make with that? Comet. We'll all laugh ourselves to death. Who's to blame?
Has anybody ever laughed themselves to death, do you know?
The bloke watching the goodies.
Yeah.
You knew about that, yes.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me, what was he watching?
He was watching, was it the Kit and Kong episode?
It wasn't that. That's the one we'll remember, actually. It was a Scotsman fending off an attack from a black pudding with a set of bagpipes. And... you see? Don't! Oh, no!
Have we killed anyone on this show?
I...
Must try harder.
We must. Yeah. He laughed for 25 minutes, had a heart attack, died on the sofa. And the audience finds that very funny.
Yeah.
My goddaughter laughed for 25 minutes when I showed her people falling down escalators on YouTube. I've never seen anything so funny in my life. There's people on the escalator, standing in, on the standing bit of it, and then on the walking down bit of it, someone just falls down at an incredible speed. She watched that 8 times, crying with laughter.
I've seen a funny accident on an escalator. I mean, it's a few people might have gone to hospital, I'm not sure, but when I was about 18, it was quite crowded. And somebody down the front, a tourist, I think, got to the bottom and just stopped. So you got this fantastic...
Oh, concertina.
Yeah. It's pure Marx Brothers, fantastic.
So
The funniest thing I ever saw was John McCririck fall out of a boat.
Really?
Pretend it didn't happen. And I was interviewing him, and so none of the crew could laugh until 2 hours later. Everyone laughed at the same time and didn't stop for half an hour. I kept it in for 2 hours. It is possible.
That's fantastic. Because he was so sort of pompously refusing...
He's a big blustery guy, and he had a cigar, and he fell right on top of me, and then fell out of the boat, and then got back in and said, all right, where were we? He just fell out of the boat, just dripping wet. Cigars is hanging out of his mouth, and he's trying to pretend it never happened. So we all pretended it didn't happen until 2 hours later. We were driving back, and the guy driving was almost wrecked. He was laughing so hard.
Wouldn't it have been awful if the cameraman had kept the footage running and we could now persuade him to put it up online somewhere and then it could be seen?
I have the footage.
And you haven't posted it?
No, I wouldn't.
You moral... Oh, you're going... Oh, it's going the other way. The needle's going the other way.
I'll post it. Give it to me.
I will post it. I will.
Yeah. Little man. Anyway, so in 1910, people worried, and they worried desperately, that Halley's Comet would turn the air into nitrous oxide and we'd all die laughing. What did the original Mr. Happiness want to do to cheer up his front garden?
Is that his garden?
I don't think that is his house, funnily enough, no.
Gnomes.
When we say Mr. Happiness, it's a pretty tricky one. We're talking about a person who... an intellectual.
Oh,
Who,
I thought it was going to be Ken
who
Dodd.
wasn't happy.
do we know of a philosopher who was interested in...
Yeah, the Diddy Men. They were...
even possibly even greater than the
Well,
Diddy Men.
sort of all philosophers are interested in
Well,
that.
they are. This one, though, had a calculus of felicity. He calculated how to make people happy, and he had a phrase which I've actually used already today, the greatest
Khalil
good
Gibran.
for the
Oh, that's
greatest number.
Bentham.
Bentham,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the chap.
Yeah.
Tell me what you know about him.
He was a utilitarian. wasn't he?
Utilitarian
Yeah.
is
Oh,
the
I'm
name of
sounding
his
very-
philosophy. This is very impressive.
Yeah.
Well done. Jeremy...
See, Mr. Gostick, I was paying attention. So what did he do in his garden? I don't know.
Jeremy Bentham, he had a belief about how we should decorate our gardens and indeed our
For the
public walks
benefit
and
of other
recreations.
people, presumably.
For the benefit of ourselves, in a very strange way. He felt that maybe our taboos about death were a bit...
Corpses?
Just hang...
Corpses.
Nan, in the tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the cat's padding away at her.
Yeah.
He put corpses in his garden.
Yeah, he called them auto-icons, and he thought they should be all around us. But he also had a view of his own death. Do you know what happened to Jeremy Bentham when he died?
Someone put platinum in the garden.
No, it's quite well known. I bet they know in the audience.
Anyone
Go on.
know?
He was stuffed. That's exactly right. You can go and
You can go and
inspect
see
him.
him,
He's in a
yes,
big
yeah.
cabinet, stuffed in University College London.
But bits of him will have been chopped off by medical students.
Well,
for
that did
parties.
happen to his head, but there he is. That's his body. He had himself dressed. He had a group of friends around.
150
Well, actually, I think it was only about 28. But it's a good call that it should have been that number. And he decided that his skin should be stripped off, his bones and things should have stuffing around them, and there it is. He perhaps invented underpants. He perhaps. Well, it's very hard to say that but he was one of the first people of his time and culture who insisted on wearing what we would now call boxer shorts, really. Most men just had the front of their shirt sort of curved upwards under their bits. I know. Important man, nonetheless, a great intellectual.
That'd be a real test of friendship, though, wouldn't it? That's how you find out.
Stuff
Do you mind
me.
coming around and stuffing me when I die? Yeah.
Anyway, Jeremy Bentham, founder of utilitarianism, or the idea that happiness equates to the greatest good for the greatest number, once wrote to London County Council asking for permission to replace the shrubs along his driveway with a line of varnished corpses. But which small furry animal would you make happier by taking it to see Bambi?
Does it have to be furry?
Yeah,
And
it's a particular species. What happens to Bambi when...
His mum gets shot.
Mum
Yeah,
gets
and then
shot.
what does Bambi do?
Then Bambi
Joins
hangs
the
out with
police.
the other
He-
animals and learns to skate.
Yeah.
But before that, he cries. Now, this is weird. This is an animal that gets off on deer's tears.
Shut up.
When I say get off, I don't mean it has,
Does it drink the tears?
It
or-
drinks the tears.
So it's
No! So it's got to be something small,
Mouse.
evolve.
Even smaller.
It's got to be something
Smaller
with a
than that.
furry.
Furry.
Bumblebee.
Yes. There's a species
Hey.
of bee that, rather than going for nectar, goes for the salt and the tears of ungulates like horses and deer. Yeah.
And I thought that the Gales tasted a bit funny that year.
Salty.
I'm definitely getting deer tear. I'm getting misery. Forest.
They've also been observed drinking tears from human eyes. There are 3 species of stingless bee, you'd be happy to know. Oh, there they are. They're tiny. Actually, they're not that furry, to be honest.
Oh, you meant blue bottles. There we were, kind
Yeah.
of dealing with the image of a lovely bee, all
But they are
stripy, licking.
Anorexic.
whiny, aren't they?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Lysotrigonia cacii, and Lysotrigonia furva, and Lysotrigonia parietrigina. And that's what they do. It's strange. So they suck on your misery. Don't look at me like that. It sounded rather poetic when it came into my head, but...
That's your cue to make your first heavy metal album, and you have to call it Suck on My Misery.
I will. But from one veil of tears to another, where did Florence Nightingale do her most important work?
Hospital. In a hospital.
In a hostel or a hospital?
A hospital.
A hospital.
I think this was in her bed.
Yes, you're right. You know a bit about her, clearly.
Well,
Expand.
I think...
Didn't she stay in bed for
See,
about
this is-
50 years or something?
See, I have to thank Mr. Gostick for this as well, I think Florence Nightingale came back from the Crimea where she'd, done a lot of good stuff. And then she took to her bed in a rather sort of attention-seeking way and was a bit of a pain in the arse, I suspect. But she made the great and the good come to her bedside. She was such an icon, and she founded British nursing was sort of founded by
Yeah. Well, the odd thing is, you said in the Crimea having done a lot of good. The strange thing is she felt she didn't do any good. And she's right, she didn't. You were 3 times more likely to die in Scutari, the hospital she ran, than you were in a rough field hospital. Because there was so much infection. It was a disastrous place. And there were reports that showed that the outcome of all the patients under her care was terrible. And she thought this report would expose her. And she was ashamed, in fact. And she kind of had a decline. It wasn't anything other than just she thought her life and her career and her reputation was over. She went home, went to bed and stayed in bed. But she lived, as you say, over 50 years in bed. And she would awake and start work at 5, writing letters and campaigning and doing all the good that she then did in laying down standards of cleanliness. But it was really to expiate the failure of her work in the Crimean, which is quite surprising, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if ignorance is bliss, then prepare for a torrent of pleasure, for it's time for our general ignorance, fingers on buzzers if you would. What is Africa's dominant animal predator?
By dominant, do we mean the one that kills the most things, kills the most other animals?
Yeah, I guess, as a predator.
Hyena.
Is the right answer.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. Andy Hamilton. You're on fire.
No, because I watched something where David Attenborough said the hyena is the biggest killer. Yeah.
And most people might think it was the lion as the most dominant in that sense. Obviously, mosquitoes kill more.
But lions
humans.
are lazy buggers. You watch them,
They are. And in fact, scavenged kills, it's much more likely that a lion will scavenge the kill of a hyena than the hyena that of a lion. Much more. We think of hyenas as somehow kind of sloping away, little like jackals, but actually they're very intelligent. And there they are, spotty. I mean, you wouldn't want one around the house necessarily.
You wouldn't want to be chased by a pack of them.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. And what's with the laughter? Because we're here with happiness. They laugh. What's that about? What does the laugh mean? Do we know?
They're communicating with each other.
Yes, it's a particular thing they're communicating. It's.
They're watching Mr. Bean. It's popular in virtually every country in the world. Why wouldn't they like it?
I think they're laughing because they're remembering something that happened earlier.
Oh, yes. It's actually clan submissiveness, supposedly. But would you like to hear it? Would you like to hear a hyena laugh?
Why, certainly. You're going to bring one in?
Yes, I am.
That is the noise my goddaughter makes when she watches people falling down escalators.
Shall we hear it again? It's a good sound.
Yeah. That's it.
It's a good noise. Do you know, there's a sort of acting trick. If you are asked to laugh, some people find it very difficult, and it's terrible if it sounds false. Ha ha! You know, it's like... But do you know what a simple physical technique is to make your... Anyone can then sound convincing when they laugh.
Ice cube in the anus.
Right, yeah. That might do something, I don't know. Might make others laugh.
Yeah.
But no, it's just something you can do in public.
That'll make you laugh. Try it later.
No.
Holding your breath. No.
No, it's what you have to do is empty your lungs. What most people do is they go, and then go, ha, 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 and it just sounds false. But if you empty your lungs...
Yeah.
It's just like that. Because when people are seriously laughing, their breath...
If you put an ice cube up your bum, you'll empty your lungs.
There would also be that, I grant you. That's a good hyena. That's a very good hyena.
That's a very cheap drama school you went to, wasn't it?
It was all done in a room over a pub. I don't know why. We got a certificate.
Anyway, in many areas, hyena kills are a lion's main source of food. So, what is the £5 note made from?
Paper. Let's just get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
It's made out of money.
They're cotton and linen.
Ah.
They're not made from wood
Money
at all.
isn't
No
made of
tree
paper.
had any part in the making of your £5 note. Which is surprising, because that's the reason. But it's not very funny. But I thought you'd like to know.
But I mean, I just find it extraordinary, Stephen.
Do you? Thank you.
It sounds like paper when you tear it up and laugh in the waiter's face.
Yeah. That's for the smiley face.
Stephen. It's apparently called Stephen, but you were saying it with a V, I could tell.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. Well done, that's right. I mean, there's nothing more to say. Banknotes are made from cotton or linen because wood-based paper is far too fragile. But what happens to your general mood as you get older?
You become more sort
Oh, there's Phil again.
sedated.
Look in there. I think.
You don't get grumpier.
No, I think you get happier. Yeah, but there was a thing in the paper a while back. Surprisingly, showed people around the age of sort of 81 or something like that were really happy. But presumably that's just smugness. You think I've made it to 81, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing. No change.
well, essentially, you just stay much as you were. That your general disposition appears to be more or less fixed.
Except you wear a
in your
newspaper
30s.
on your head.
Yes, the actual behaviour can be a little strange, but the idea that men become grumpy or women become grumpy is apparently absolutely nonsense.
I've read that,
seems
so I'll
odd.
put that there.
I know.
Is this what that philosopher's front garden would look like?
Bentham's front lawn.
There's been the Baltimore Longitudinal Study of Aging, which is one of the longest running. It's been running since '58.
It's one of my favourite studies of ageing.
Well, it's one of the best, and it's shattered a number of myths about the ageing process, including the persistent belief that people become more depressed and cranky, or withdrawn, or rigid, or bad-tempered as they age. In fact, adults change little after 30 in those terms. A grumpy old git probably used to be a grumpy young git. And now it's time to separate the cheer from the gloom as we consider the scores. And oh my word, and oh my goodness, and oh good gracious me. In the lead with a magnificent 4 points, it's Phil Jupiters! Very happy score. And in second place with a very positive 1 point, Rich Hall.
There we go.
And despite his brilliance, in third place with minus 15, Andy Hamilton. And unhappily at minus 35, Alan Davis. Well, it only remains for me to thank Rich, Phil, Andy and Alan to leave you with this at a dinner for Sir Harold and Lady Macmillan, hosted by the de Gaulles at the Élysée Palace. Lady Dorothy asked Madame de Gaulle if, after all her husband's many achievements, there was anything that she still wanted. Yes, said the First Lady of France, a penis. Which the General leaned over and whispered discreetly, no, my dear, in English it is pronounced happiness. Good night.
And there's more QI here on BBC HD on Friday at 8:30. Don't miss the Strictly Results show this week. Find out who's going home tomorrow at 7:30. And coming up next this evening, more comedy with Michael McIntyre.